Hey, what's up everyone, and welcome back to another video. In today's video, we're going to be covering PWAs and how you can create your very own Web3 PWA using thirdweb. An overview of what we're going to be covering in this video. We're first going to go over what are PWAs. We're also going to cover what does PWA mean for Web3 applications. We'll then prep some of the things that we're going to need to create our very own PWA, and then we'll create our very own PWA using thirdweb. We'll be creating it with Next.js and using TypeScript. And then at the very end, we'll cover a CLI command that will help you generate a PWA template. And with all of that being said, let's jump right into it and cover a little bit about what are PWAs. So what is a PWA? PWA stands for a progressive web app. And simply what it means is we can now take web applications and create native apps on our desktop or our mobile apps, and they will act like native apps, but really what they are is an extension of the web app from your browser. Now, PWAs have been around for quite a bit, but they lacked some of the functionality that a native desktop app or a native mobile app had, which didn't quite add to the user experience. And one of the biggest ones were things like notifications. But now with PWAs, you can even add notifications in. So you can notify your users who are using the app when things happen throughout your web app. Now, PWA is making a big comeback, especially with Web3 applications, and especially after the launch of a Web3 app called FriendTech. Now, if you're not familiar with FriendTech, you can go and check it out. But essentially, FriendTech had created their own PWA and allowed people to visit their website. And then what you had to do is install the PWA or the progressive web app from their site to your mobile device. What this did was create a mobile-like app where users could now connect a wallet and interact with a Web3 application directly on their phone. But why was this so important, and why is this so important to Web3? Well, first off, you don't have to go through an app store, so Apple's App Store or Google's Play Store, in order to download this application. You can do it directly from the website, and on your mobile device, you can select something like add to screen or install, and this would add a mobile app directly to your mobile device. You then interact with that mobile app just like you would any other app. And with certain restrictions that app stores have, this allows you to now allow any user who installs or adds this app to their mobile home screen to now have a mobile version of your web app. This also bypasses any of the in-app purchase fees that you would normally have to pay to the app store if you were doing in-app purchases or any type of crypto purchase through your application. So this is a great way for Web3 applications to have a mobile or native version of their app and not have to go through the roadblocks of things like getting onto an app store, and also preventing and bypassing the fees that they would have to pay. And with all of that being said, now that we know a little bit more about PWAs, let's take a look at our demo PWA. So right here, I have a demo PWA. We'll link this down in the description as well, so you can try it out yourself. You can do this on a desktop. You can do it on your mobile device as well. But since we're working on our desktop here, we're just going to use this. So normally what happens when you go to a site that has PWA enabled, you're going to see a install button at the top on your URL search bar here. And when you click on that, it's going to ask you if you want to install the app. And what we can do is install it. And what that will do is it'll create a native app here on our device. So this is actually a desktop app running on my Mac device right now. And what this is doing is it has essentially a window that is displaying the web app, but instead of through my browser, it is going through this PWA app right here. And I can interact and open this app just like I would any app on my desktop. And what I can do here, what we have set up is an email login. And with that email login, we're actually connecting to a email wallet, and we're using that email wallet as the personal wallet to a ERC1155 smart wallet. So let me just put in my OTP here. And you can see once I sign in and verify that OTP, we're going to then connect to a smart wallet. And with that smart wallet, we have functionality turned on like gasless and signless transactions. So everything that we interact with on this app is going to stay natively within this app. We're not going to have to transfer out to any other application or connect any other type of wallet. On a mobile device, this works very seamlessly because you never have to leave or transition between applications. So once I'm signed in, you can see here, we're on our claim page. We can check out our NFTs, which in this case, I own one of these NFTs here and my quantity is 1. Profile here is just bringing up my wallet information. So I can see I was generated ERC1155 wallet. I can sign out, and that's just to bring up the wallet button. But if I come back to claim here, I can claim an NFT. And again, what's going to happen is this is all going to happen gasless. No signing or anything is going to pop up because we are using an ERC1155 smart wallet. You can see here we get a prompt saying NFT was claimed. I can come back to my NFTs here and my quantity will increase to 2 because I claimed another NFT. And all of this is happening on a blockchain interacting with a NFT smart contract. But again, we don't have to leave this application or connect in order to connect to a wallet or interact with the blockchain. So again, PWAs allow us to accomplish these types of things. So right now, what we're going to do is we're going to prepare some of the things that we're going to need in order to build our PWA app. Some of the stuff that we're going to need is a smart contract. I'm going to use this same smart contract here, which is an ERC1155 smart contract. And if you want to read a little bit more on how to deploy it, I'm not going to go over it in this video, but down in the description below, we'll add a guide on how you can deploy it. But under contracts here, and we deploy a new contract, I'm deploying and using one of these addition drop contracts right over here. So I'll link this down in the description as well. Another thing that we need to do is some things on the Paper side of stuff. So Paper is the email wallet that we are going to be using to connect to our ERC1155 wallet. Now I'm going to go to dashboard here and I'm going to sign in here. And once we are signed in the left-hand navigation, I'm going to come to auth settings. And we're going to set up our auth settings to allow our users to sign in with email. Now for my app here, I'm just going to call this PWA demo app. And under allow listed domains, we're going to add a domain. Now we're just going to be testing this app locally on our device here. So I'm just going to put in our localhost 3000 because that's where we're going to be running our application. So I'm just going to hit save here. Now, if you do push this to production or anything, you do have to allow any of the domains that are going to be set up with the email wallet that we're going to be using. Over here, we're going to copy this client ID here, which is what we're going to need in order to set up our email wallets within our app. Now, once we have that set, we're going to come over to thirdweb again. And in our thirdweb website, we're going to make sure you have signed in with your wallet. You're going to come over to settings and you're going to use an API key. Now, if you have an API key set already, then you can skip a little bit ahead and we just need to make sure that we allow list everything. If you don't have your API key, if you never created an API key before, under settings, you can create a new API key. We'll call this PWA video demo. Now, under the enabled services, we can leave these checked off, but we are going to be using smart wallets here. And in order to authorize our gasless transactions and everything, so our bundler and paymaster services, we need to put in the contracts that are allowed for this smart wallet to interact with. So in this case, it's going to be our addition drop contract that we have deployed. Again, I'm using the demo one that I already have, but you're going to paste in the contract address of the NFT drop or whatever contract you're interacting with into this allowed contract addresses here. We're going to hit next, allow domains. So in here, we're going to add localhost 3000 because that's where we're going to be running our application for now. Again, if in production, you're going to put in your own domains that you're going to be using here. We're going to hit create. It's going to create us a client ID and secret key that I'm just going to copy down here and hold off on the side. Now for secret key, you do want to write this down and secure it somewhere because you will not be able to view this secret key again. If you ever lose it, you're just going to have to regenerate a new set of API keys to use throughout your application. So I'm going to say I have stored and we have our API key right here. Now, if you need to go in and adjust any of the allowed domains or the contracts for your smart wallets, you can always come in here, hit edit, and then edit those domains and contract addresses. So now we have our paper ID, we have our API key through thirdweb. We're also going to have to deploy a contract for our smart wallets, and that will be our account factory. contract. So if you come to our explore page, and I'll link the contract page down in the description so you don't have to search it. But we're going to deploy this account factory. This just allows us to deploy smart wallets. So we're going to come over here to this account factory and we're going to deploy it. You're going to select the chain that you want to build your application on. We support any EVM compatible chain, so you can choose any mainnet or testnet here. I'm just going to be sticking with Mumbai here, and I'm going to hit deploy now. So a transaction is going to come up for us to pay gas to deploy it. I'm going to select that. We're going to assign one more transaction to add it to our dashboard here. And the final thing we're going to need to create our PWA is our PWA manifest. Now, we're going to use this generator right over here. I'll link it down in the description below. But what you need to put in here is the name of your PWA, the short name for it. You're going to select standalone here in the display. You can add a description if you choose to do so. Your start URL, you can choose your theme color, background color of your app, and then you're going to upload a 512 by 512 image. We're going to choose an image right now. Then I'm going to hit open. And what this is going to do is generate all the icons that we need to create our PWA. So it's going to create it all in different sizes and everything. But once you fill this out, it's going to give us all our different icons and our manifest.json, which we're going to need in order to create our PWA. So we're going to hit generate manifest here. It's going to download a file for us, and we're going to use that file within our application. And that does it for everything that we're going to need to create our PWA. Again, we're going to be creating an app with a login and sign-in flow of using an email address to then connect to a smart wallet or an ERC4337 wallet with enabled gasless transactions. Flow should be that even if you aren't a technical Web3 user, this flow should feel a bit familiar with entering your email, using an OTP to verify that email. And from there, you'll be brought into the application where interacting with smart contracts are going to feel seamless and smooth because of the ERC4337 wallet. So I'm going to come into my terminal here and we're going to create our application. Again, we're going to be creating this with Next.js and TypeScript. I'm going to run npx thirdweb create here. It's then going to ask us what we want to create. I'm going to say an app. We're going to name this PWA video. Choose our blockchain. I'm going to select EVM because we deployed it on Mumbai. And then I'm going to choose Next.js here. And I'm going to then choose TypeScript. Once that's done, we'll change into our project directory here. So PWA video. And then I'm going to open this up in my code editor. Now, first thing I'm going to do in my code editor here is I have some styling that I'm going to be using throughout this video. And I'm just going to copy it here and paste it into my CSS file. So under styles, under this home module CSS, I'm going to just paste that in here. If you want to follow along with the same styling, you can head on over to the repo down in the description and you can copy the style in the home.module.css file to have the same styling that I'm going to have throughout this application. Next thing we're going to do is head over to the pages folder and I'm going to head to the _app.tsx file. And in here, we're going to set up the configuration for our application. First thing we're going to set up is this active chain here. And what I'm going to do here is set this to Mumbai because that's the chain that I deployed my contracts to. You'll change this to whatever chain you have deployed it to. Now, what we'll have to do here is set up our client ID. Right now, this is pointing to a environment variable called a next public template client ID. So if we come over to our file directory here, you'll see this env.example file. We're just going to name this. We're going to get rid of the example file, and this is going to be where we store our environment variables. And we can take our API client ID that we got and paste it in there. But back in our _app.tsx file, that is what this client ID will be reading, is that variable stored in that .env file. And our active chain is set to the active chain that we have set right up top over here. And now with all of that set, before we get on any further, let's run this here. So I'm just going to open up a terminal here and I'm going to run yarn dev and open this up in our local host. And in our localhost 3000, we're going to be brought up to our boilerplate code template here. Now, one thing that you're going to see is up top in the top search bar browser, we're not going to have that install button because we don't have a PWA set up for this yet. So our application can't be installed as one. So what we're going to do next is set up all of our files and our application to be a PWA, and then we'll start building out our app. So back in our code editor here, I'm just going to actually, with our terminal open, I'm going to create a new window here, and we're going to add next PWA. And what I'm going to do is yarn add next PWA here, and we're going to run that really quick. Once that runs, we're going to set up and add in our icons and our manifest that we downloaded and generated earlier. So with that done, we're going to just scroll this down for now. In our file directory here, I'm going to get my files. So earlier we downloaded our manifest. So we have our different icons and our manifest file here. I'm going to drag those into our public folder. So we have our icons here and we have our manifest. Now our manifest, we're going to rename the manifest here, and the extension, we're going to add .json because it is a JSON file here that we have as our manifest. Now the next thing we need to do is we need to make sure we can link our manifest to our application. And to do that, in our pages folder, we're going to create a new file, and we're going to call it _document.tsx. And in this _document.tsx file, we're going to paste in this code here. And you can see right here in our head tag, we have a link to our manifest.json, and that's how we're going to link this to our application. And again, make sure we can run it as a PWA. And again, you can copy this code from the repo down in the description below. What we're going to do next is head on over to our file directory. We're going to head to our next config.js file, and we're going to change this configuration here to make sure we can configure it with our next PWA. Next PWA, we do have a few options here that we can set. If you come on over to next PWA here, you can read through some of the documentations. There's a bunch of configurations and options available that you can set up. This is just a configuration that we're going to be using here for our application, but feel free to read through the docs if you want to configure it in your own way. Then after that, we're just going to open up our terminal again here, and we're just going to build out our application. So you can do yarn build, or you can run npm run build if you don't have yarn installed. There we go. Everything looks good. So now if we do yarn dev again, and we're running this on our localhost 3000, and we head back to our application, when we refresh our page here, you can see our app loads as normal. But up here in the top, you'll now see that we can now install this as a PWA app. So if we hit install here, it is now going to run that localhost 3000 application that we have deployed as a PWA on top of our device. And what we can start doing now is building out our application. We'll just build out a simple NFT claim app here. So back in our code editor, we're going to close this out really quick. I'm going to come back to my file directory here. We're going to add a folder, and we're going to call this folder const. And we're just going to create a file in here called addresses to hold our .ts to hold our contract addresses for our NFTs. And I only have one here, which is going to be the contract address of the 1155 edition drop that I deployed. Again, you'll put in whatever contract address you're going to be using right over here. Next, what I'm going to do is I have some images that I'm going to use for our icons. So let me just grab those really quick. And I'm going to put them into our public folder. So I just have these little icons here. Again, you can get these from the repos down below, but those are just the icons I'm going to use for my application. And we're going to create a bottom nav bar for our app. So if we take a look at our application here, we have this bottom nav bar right over here. And if this was on a mobile device, these would be like your bottom tab bar that you can navigate through your different tabs of your application. And what we're going to do here is in my file directory, I'm going to create a new folder again. Oops, not in there though. I'm going to create a new folder called this components. And in my components, I'm going to create a new file called navbar.tsx. So in this navbar component here, we're going to first get the address of the connected wallet, and we're going to store it in an address variable. Now, we're not going to use specifically the wallet address, but we are going to use this variable to double check if a wallet is connected or not. The use address hook returns the string of the wallet address, or it returns undefined if there's no wallet connected. This is also a great use of it where we can check if a wallet is connected or not and display certain things within our application. So I'm first going to create a div here with the styles of Navbar. Then I'm going to create our first icon. It's going to be a link. It's just going to be our home page here, which is going to be our claim page with a class name of styles nav icon. We then have our image of our claim icon. I set some height and width to it, and then we have a label under it called claim. Then create a second icon. This will be for NFTs. This is so the user can view their own NFTs from our collection. And same thing goes as the claim icon. We have an image here and we have some styling, and our labels is NFT. The last one is going to be our profile icon. And again, this is only going to display if a wallet is connected. So we're going to create a div here with the class name of still nav icon here. Within that, we're going to check if a address is connected or not. And only if an address is connected, we're then going to show a connect wallet button. Now within a connect wallet button, we can change this details button here. And the details button is going to be what shows when a wallet is connected. And what we can return here is a div here, which will be the same as our other links here. We'll have an image and a class name and a label name down underneath. So again, this details button, we can configure it to show any component that we want once a wallet is connected. So you can make it show a profile text, you can make it show any type of component that you want. You can just put that into the details button right over there. So if we save that, we can add it to our application. We're going to head over to our _app.tsx file. We're going to add this under our components here, since we want it to be on the bottom of our app. And then if we come back to our PWA here, you can see we have our claim here and we have NFTs. We haven't created that page yet though. And then if we were to connect a wallet, so right now we don't have the email sign-in flow set up. So we're just going to hit connect with MetaMask. And once we're connected with MetaMask, you can see we have the profile option that comes up right here. So this is essentially the same thing as this component that gets generated for us normally. But again, we can display whatever we want or whatever component we want down here. So that is working there. So now that we have that bottom nav bar set, let's actually work on that email sign-in flow. So coming back or staying in our _app.tsx file, in our thirdweb provider here, we can configure the wallets that we want to use within our application. And again, we're going to be using our smart wallet, which is an ERC1155 wallet. So in our thirdweb provider here, we're going to put in our supported wallets. And within our supported wallets, we'll give it an array of the wallets that we want to support in our application. We're only going to be using smart wallet though. And in smart wallet, we need to provide it with a few things. The first thing is the factory address of our account factory contract that we deployed earlier. So let me just come back and get that contract address. So we have our account factory address there. We can then toggle if we want gas list to be true or not. And let me just add a comma behind this. So gas list we can set to true, and then we need to set up the personal wallets that we're going to allow to sign in and use this smart wallet. And in this case, we're only going to allow paper wallet, which is an email wallet. And that way a user has to sign in with their email in order to access their smart wallet. And it creates this nice flow of a user just needing to put in their email and they get a wallet generated for them. Now for paper wallet, we need to provide it with our paper client ID. So I can get my paper client ID really quick right over here. And again, you can store all of these in the environment variable as well. For this tutorial purposes, I am just going to paste it right on into here. So now with that saved and set, we can head back over to our PWA here. And if I hit connect wallet, it's going to ask for my email address. I can then put in my email address here. We'll then get a OTP that shows up. Once we get that email, we can input it in here. You can see it's now connecting us to the smart wallet and generating us our wallet here. And we now have a smart wallet that is connected for us. And this smart wallet has gasless transactions enabled. So now we can interact with smart contracts and not need to pay gas. It'll all be taken care of by the bundler and paymaster. So heading back to our code editor here, we'll create another component here. We'll add a new file. We'll call this header.tsx. And in our header here, we're just going to add a quick header component. So right here, I just have a div with an image and then a title that says, we'll just say call this PWA video demo. So again, this is just a header showing an image and some text here. We'll just come to our _app.tsx file. And then above our components here, we'll add our header component. So if we come back to our app here, oh, I didn't add my logo into my images. Let me add that real quick. So save that, come back to my app. Let's just refresh this really quick. There you go. We now have our header with the logo and the title of our app right over here. So let's now just change this index.tsx file, get rid of this boilerplate code and add the ability to claim our NFT. So coming back to, let me just close these out that I don't need anymore. So coming back to our index.tsx file, we're going to remove this code here that we have, which is just the boilerplate code. And I'm just going to put a div here for placeholder right now. Now, the first thing we're going to do here is get our address. So we're going to get address here, use the use address hook from thirdweb, and then we're going to get our contract. So if we come here, we can get our contract. We can use the use contract hook from thirdweb, and this will get us our instance of our contract. And we can provide it with our NFT contract address that we have stored in our constants or our addresses.ts file. Let me just import this really quick here. And then we're going to get our contract metadata. So we can get, we're going to get returned data, but we can just call this contract metadata. And we're going to use the use contract metadata hook here and provide it with the instance of our contract that we just got above. And what this is going to return is the contract metadata, like the image, title, and description of the contract that we specified up here. So we take a look at our demo app really quick again. When a user isn't logged in yet, we're just going to show a login button, which is a connect wallet button. And that's what's going to show them to, or prompt them to enter their email. And once they have logged in, we're going to show them, of course, the application where they can claim an NFT. So coming back to the code editor here, what we're going to do is just create a div here, give it the styles of container. We're then going to check if a wallet is connected or not. So we're going to, again, check using the address variable here, if a wallet is connected or not. And if it is connected, we are going to create a div here. And within that div, we're going to use a thirdweb UI component called media renderer, which is going to render an image using an IPFS hash that we're going to get from the contract metadata and get the image of our contract. We'll set the width to 100%, the height to auto, and then we'll add some border radius and some max width to the image here. We'll then display the name of the contract, and we'll just get that from, again, the contract metadata, and we can get the name property of it. Then we're going to create a web3 button, and this is a UI component from thirdweb that allows us to interact and call functions from a specific smart contract. So in this case, we specify the smart contract that we're interacting with, and that's our NFT smart contract. We'll then set an action. So what is this button going to be doing? And on our contract here, we can specify that it is, if you're using a thirdweb pre-built contract, you can specify it's an 1151, which is what my contract is. If you're using a 721, you can specify 721 right over here. And then we're going to use the claim function. Now, because I'm using, again, an 1155, I have to pass two arguments here. The first one is the token ID that we're claiming from the 1155 contract. And the second one is going to be the quantity that we're claiming when this button is pressed. If you're using an ERC1155, you just have to give it the quantity that it's going to be claiming. And then we can also set on success here. And what I'm going to do is just give it an alert saying that an NFT has been claimed. And again, this is what's going to show if a wallet is connected to our application. If a wallet isn't connected to our application, I'm going to create a div down here and give it a connect wallet button, which I can then change the name of the button to log in with the button title property. Now, by default, it says connect wallet, but with button title here, you can change it to whatever you want, and we're going to have it say login. So with all of that, we can head back over to our PWA app, and you now see that we have our image of our contract displayed along with the title of our contract right over here. And then we have a button that says claim NFT. Now we can click on this button here. We'll be able to claim an NFT. Again, because we're using a smart wallet, this is all gasless transactions. This is happening without us having to sign any transactions as well. And once our NFT is claimed, we'll then get an alert saying that our NFT has been claimed. There you go. We get our alert saying NFT has been claimed, but now we need a way of viewing our NFTs. So we'll create this NFT page here where we can view our owned NFTs. So coming back to our code editor here, I'm going to create a new file under pages, and I'm going to just call this nfts.tsx. And within this page, we're going to create our NFTs page that is going to show the owned NFTs and the quantity that a certain account signed in owns. First, we're going to get, again, our connected wallet address using the use address hook here. We'll store it in an address variable. We'll then get our contract. So we're going to get our instance of our contract using the use contract hook. And then we're going to use a different hook here called used own NFTs, which is going to check the owned NFTs of a specific wallet address, in this case, our connected wallet address to our app. And we're going to check the amount of owned NFTs on the contract, the one that we just specified up here. So for this page here, we're going to create a div, give it a styles of container. We're going to give it a header of NFTs. We're then going to check is owned NFTs still loading. So if we're still retrieving the data for our own NFTs, what we'll show here is just some loading text. Once it has the data of our owned NFTs, we're going to first check that we have any owned NFTs. So we're going to check if owned NFTs.length is greater than 0. So what we get back in return when we use the use owned NFTs hook here is we get an array of the NFTs and the metadata of that NFT that's owned by the wallet address. So if we don't have any owned NFTs, we're not going to show anything. But if we do have owned NFTs, the length of that array should be greater than 0 for us to verify that there are owned NFTs. And if there are owned NFTs, we're then going to map through that array. And in return, we're going to create an NFT card component here, where we're going to give it the metadata and information of our NFT and the quantity that we own of that NFT as well. So again, each item in our array is metadata of some NFT that they own. So we're going to just give that, again, the metadata of that NFT so we can display things like the image of it and the name of it. And then in the quantity here, we're going to get to the quantity owned of that NFT. And we're just going to turn it into, we're going to parse int it here to get a number because this is returned to us as a string. And then if they don't have any owned NFTs, we're just going to display no NFTs owned. So let's create that NFT card component. So back here in my components folder, I'm going to create a new file, call this NFT card.tsx. And then for this NFT card, we're going to create NFT props here, which again, we're taking the NFT, which is going to be an NFT type that we can import from thirdweb's SDK here. We're then going to take the quantity, which is going to be a number, so the number owned. Then we're going to build out our NFT card component here. And what we're going to do here is create a div with the class name of NFT card. We're going to display the image of the NFT. Now we're going to be using a different UI component, not media renderer, but thirdweb NFT media. And this takes a metadata, in this case, the metadata of the NFT. So if we provide it with that, it'll take the image of the NFT and render out that image for us. We'll set the width to 100 and the height to auto. And then we'll display things like the NFT's name. We can get the NFT and then metadata, and we have name. And then the quantity, we can just display the quantity. And actually up here, we'll just change this to a string. And under our NFTs, we can just actually give it, we don't need to do that. We can just provide it our string right over there. And let's just make sure these imports are correct here. And the same thing goes for our NFT card. So that will display our NFTs there. So again, coming back here, when we map through our own NFTs, we're going to display that NFT card. That will display the image and then the name and quantity that we have owned of that NFT. So coming back to our application here, we can now head over to the NFTs tab. It's loading, it's getting our information here, and it shows our NFT and it shows the quantity that we have, which is 1. So if we come back here, we can claim another NFT. Again, all gasless and all signatureless. We don't need to sign any transactions, creating this experience that we don't need to leave this app and interact with any type of wallet or anything. Our NFT was claimed. Come back to our NFTs, you'll see the quantity now increases to 2. And there you go. We built our very own Web3 PWA using Next.js and thirdweb. From here, you can build out Web3 applications that interact with the blockchain, and you can use them as PWAs, which you can then run on a mobile device or your desktop. And the one last thing I want to go over in this video is actually a quick way that you can set up a PWA app. Right now we have it set up for Vite, but you can actually create a templated PWA app right through our CLI. So coming back to my terminal here, let me just get out of this and clear it here. You can run npx thirdweb create. And again, you can create an application like you normally would. We can name this. So we'll name this TW Vite PWA. You can select your blockchain. We'll select EVM. And down here, when you choose a framework you want to use, you can actually choose PWA Vite here. And this will actually create a whole project template for you using Vite. And you have PWA enabled. So once this installs and everything, we'll run through this application really quick in this template. Just know that we also have the next template also in the works. Everything that we went over in the beginning of this video, you can get it all taken care of. You can just run the thirdweb CLI here and create a templated application that will be ready for you to go. And once that is done running, we'll just change into our project here. Let's just run this to see what we have as our template here. So I'm going to run yarn dev here, and then we're going to run this here on this local host. We'll just copy that here, head to our browser. And when we open this up, you're going to see this template right over here. Now, we know it's a PWA because we do have the option to install our app here, but we also have this install app button. So we have this template that has a button. So when someone comes over to your web app here, if they hit install app, it'll automatically prompt the install PWA button that they normally have in their browser. And we can hit install. And you can see here, we now have our PWA running right over here. Now, if we come back to our application, you can see that because we do have it installed, now our web page, when we come to it, says that it is already installed and we don't show that install button anymore. So we can prompt a user to install the application or have them required to install it in order to use our application. And if we take a look at the code here, so if I come back, we just kill that server really quick and then open this in our code editor. So come to our source folder, we can go to the main.tsx file here, and we can see how everything is set up. So again, you can set your active chains and everything. And what this will have here is the code checking to see if we have the PWA installed. And depending if they have it installed or not, we'll prompt them with the install button, or we'll display whatever we want to display on top of our web app. So again, you can use this Vite template here, but we should have a Next.js template coming out as well, which will take care of all the things that we did in the beginning. You'll just have to update your icon images, your manifest, and all of that information. So again, we were able to build our very own Web3 PWA using thirdweb, and we created a really quick, seamless flow for users to sign in with an email address. And we used smart wallets or ERC1155 wallets on top of that with gasless transactions. So a user will never have to leave their application in order to interact with your Web3 PWA. Again, down below will be the links to all the information that we went over, along with a demo if you want to try it out yourself, and the link to the repo for the template that we just covered. But again, I hope you folks enjoyed this video. If you did and you found some value in it, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. hit that subscribe button and don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you don't miss out on tutorial videos just like this. And again, if you need any help or you need any support, we'll add a link down to our Discord in the description. You can open a ticket and our support team will be happy to help you out with any questions that you may have. But again, I hope you folks enjoyed this video and I'm excited to see what Web3 PWAs you guys build. But until next time, see ya.